Aloha! Welcome to another episode of The Curvature Amateur. I'm your host, Louis Montagne, and today I'm gonna do a bit of explanation, maybe just to give you an idea of what I think. You can maybe call it speculation if you like, but if you haven't seen my other videos from the Curvature Amateur, I show with my Nikon P900 many proofs that our Earth is not what we were told. We were told that we live on a ball living in space, like this little image here, and this ball is spinning around the sun, and that the solar system is going spiraling into space, and the opposite, some other people say the earth is flat. And in my videos I prove that there is curvature, because we can see as we going up and down, especially here in Hawaii, that some landscape far over the ocean, like on other islands, it disappears, and it shows that we do have a curve. And I also definitely prove that we don't live on a globe, especially my last video, looking at Oahu at 170 miles away, which would be completely impossible on a globe according to the math that they gave us on Google Earth, or on Google, if you want to see how to calculate the curvature. The math, the formula is totally off. So therefore, we do not live on a globe, and the earth is not flat. But what I really believe in most part, what our earth is, I think that Orlando Ferguson made the best model that I've ever come across in my researches and watching YouTubers demonstrate, especially flat earthers, what our earth could be. I didn't see anybody showing up with this map anywhere else. But one day I ordered some maps from eBay, and this guy, I wanted to order the Gleason map from 1892. And the guy sent 6 bonus maps, and in one of them was this one here. And this one, when I looked at it first time, it's about biblical scriptures that condemn the globe theory. I'm not a religious person. I never really read the Bible, but I've listened to many religious people from different religions in my life. I never shut the door on them, and I never subscribed to their religion either. But when I look at that map, I thought, that wouldn't make too much sense, because what we call gravity would bring the water down into the bottom of the bowl here and fill it up, and then the top middle here would stay dry. But should that be the case? What could explain this? So I came up with an idea that I've seen from the movie Thrive, that I've seen several years ago. But first, let's just back up, look at what Orlando Ferguson was about. So he was in South Dakota, living there, and he detailed a flat earth map. Why do they call it flat earth, Wikipedia? When you see there's plenty of curves in there, there's not much flatness to it. So Orlando Ferguson was born in Illinois in 1846. He married, blah, blah, blah. And he ran a grocery store for a few years. Uh, he later built a hotel. The hotel was lost in fire. He built a bat house around the Siloam Spring, while often referred as a doctor. Ferguson was not a formal doctor or trained as such, but it only took Rockefeller to force people to go to his kind of school to learn allopathic medicine instead of naturopathic, and had people take all kinds of chemicals to think that they would heal from that. Anyway, in 2011, Ferguson was the subject of press attention after a copy of his 1893 flat Earth map was donated to and accepted by the Library of Congress. Okay. More specifically, his map depicts a square and stationary Earth. Has anybody ever felt the Earth moving, being sober? And which references angels visiting the four corners of our world. He lectured in Hot Springs on his ideas in 1891, followed up by a 60-page pamphlet full of hypotheses. For instance, Ferguson was also asserted that the sun was 30 miles in diameter and 3,000 miles away from Earth. He also disputed the existence of gravity. He's not the only one who disputed the existence of gravity. Flat earthers do so. However, he was largely forgotten until the 2011 donation. All right. So, what I think this Earth is about is a torus. In the word torus, you can almost find the word terre or terrestrial. Terre is the French word for Earth. And if we look at a torus shape, we can almost see the little bowl here that Orlando Ferguson made out of his map. Let's go back up here. So when we look at this map here, we can see that we could fit this big donut right in here. See? And a torus kind of vehicles energy like the infinity symbol going around in a spiral around the center, back to the outer edges. All right. So a torus, we even have some math here, how to calculate, how to make a torus. But yeah, we do have some interesting shapes if we cut that torus in half, like that. It looks a lot like the Orlando Ferguson map, doesn't it? I came upon this little thing called torus Earth, but there is such a thing in this world as, misinformation. Of course, we don't live on a globe, like I've demonstrated throughout my videos, and I'm not the first one to come with this idea. And we also have controlled opposition. We see a lot of controlled opposition in the news world, not only between the mainstream media outlets or between the political parties or between Pepsi and Coca-Cola, but we have a bunch of disinformants in this world that make you feel like, oh yes, you're being a rebel by listening to what they have to say, but they're keeping you inside the loop of ignorance by presenting you some things that they kind of hide certain parts of reality, or they probably just blatantly ignore it or don't even know about some realities, such as directed energy weapons. Who will ever talk about that other than a very few YouTubers that point out how a bunch of forest fires, they're not even forest fires, mostly neighborhood fires, burn down a whole lot of houses down to the ground, while some trees, like evergreen trees, which would burn very fast if you would put a lighter to them, they don't burn right next to the house. That's scorched down to the ground. No more terracotta roof, no more metal fencing, but somehow plastic didn't melt next to it. Anyway, here I've seen this little video showing torus Earth. He's showing a shape of the Earth here inside the torus, but it's totally off of what Orlando Ferguson proposes and what reality could be. Another piece of what I call control opposition is this movie Thrive that I've seen several years ago. It's from the 2011. You can watch a little part of it here. And this movie was done by what's his name? Is it Terrence Gamble?
I began to wake up when I was in elementary school. Adults were teaching me that the way to protect myself from a nuclear explosion was to duck under my desk and cover my head. That's when my serious questioning began. A couple of years later, I had a direct experience of universal energy. It happened one day when I was riding
Mr. Gamble here is like a billionaire.
I had a vision of
And how can we trust billionaires when they have so much money? They don't do much with their time. Some do. They call themselves philanthropists. They say, "Oh, we help people." But do they really help people? Here again is control opposition. What proof do we have about the universe?
It turns out that in 1921,
Einstein, flat earthers, they really put him down. They say he was a clown. He came with his theory, after the, what is it called, the test that they did to prove that the Earth is not moving. Michelson-Morley test. So Einstein came up with his theory just to try to confuse people into this sense of, oh yes, we have energy out there in the whole world, and universe is built around that idea. But anyway, here Mr. Gamble shows us a bunch of examples of what could be toruses into our world.
The global financial collapse, and how to achieve justice for everyone. We're about to explore how. Mathematicians call this pattern the torus. The energy in a torus flows in through one end, circulates around the center, and exits out the other side. It's balanced, self-regulating.
So here's a torus in action, showing you how the energy flows in and out, going around in circle. And this is probably on our Earth, this is probably the magnetic field that we have.
Evolution means to unfold, to roll out. So the question is, what is the universe rolling out? And what the universe is rolling out
is there a universe out there? Of course there must be bigger than our Earth. We do see stars out there up in the sky. But if we have a dome above us, what are the stars? We use a good camera, like a Nikon P900 or a Nikon P1000. It's going to show you a different image of what stars are, what the astronomers show us. Because a lot of what they show us is CGI, computer-generated images, like what they're showing you right now. It's computer-generated images. You cannot really prove that in reality.
Throughout its entire history, the universe has one single project. It's growing torus.
There's Mr. Gamble here.
Growing factory.
Well, these stars and galaxies are all CGI. There's no real images of those things from a straight-up telescope or a good camera like a Nikon P1000.
Looks like typically big arms of galaxies spinning around. And
Again, we have no proof of that galaxies spinning around.
center out to the edge of the galactic halo that surrounds them. Stars move from this galactic disk out to the halo, down the vortices.
But just so you understand the concept of how the energy flows in a torus, these guys are pretty good at giving you an idea.
The appropriate description even for the atmosphere of our planet. The weather goes from the North Pole down to the equator and then back up. From the South Pole up to the equator and then back down. Even the dynamics on the surface of the sun are very similar. Of course, here we're looking at it from an external perspective on a small scale model. When you look at the solar system embedded in the galaxy, embedded in the cluster, embedded in the supercluster, we're
Embedded in our imagination, because we don't have any proof of that.
torus flow. The torus is like the breath of the universe.
Yes,
It's the
Mr.
form
Gamble.
that the flow of energy takes at every scale of existence. But there's also an underlying structure in how the flow fits together, sort of like a skeleton. It's called the vector equilibrium, a term coined by one of the 20th century's greatest thinkers, Buckminster Fuller.
It's in Montreal.
Inspired by Fuller's
A big
visionary
spiral.
work, I spent decades researching the dynamics
A big
of
ball.
the vector equilibrium and the torus. I became so excited by the potential of the toroidal energy form that in 1997 I co-founded a multidisciplinary think tank called the Sequoia Symposium to study the pattern and explore its applications. Our collected research convinced me that the torus and the vector equilibrium are primary patterns, fundamental to the creation of the universe at all scales.
We used to
At
have
the
that
Sequoia
toy.
Symposium gatherings, I learned of inventors who claimed they were using the torus dynamic as the basis for devices that generated energy without combustion. This revolutionary development, accessing what's sometimes called zero point or radiant or free energy, is now being called most simply new energy technology.
All right. So what I want to show you. I also want to show you that there are torus used with electricity, electromagnetic, and they use them in a bunch of gadgets we all own, in computers and radios and in car parts and all these things. And some people make toruses to help harmonize the energy around you, around ourselves. They say that we have an electromagnetic field shaped like a torus
Today I
around
want to talk
us.
about John Nash. And John Nash is
Sorry. What I have here. Disappear already? Anyway. There you go. Anyway, here's a bunch of pictures of toruses you can find on Google. Well, there's one about the human here, human energy. Some show you how to make the math. Some show all kinds of weird toruses. This one here is very interesting. Here's a torus world, which is a lie. Some people have torus mouth. There's such disease called a torus palatinus. Is it a disease or is it just the shape of the mouth? We do have a torus at the top of our mouth. Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time, but just wanted to give you a bit of an idea. The way I think that this world is working is we live in a torus field, torus electromagnetic field, around our flat Earth. Not so flat, but Orlando Ferguson gives us the best idea of what it could be. Is that a bong? So there you go. Check it out. Check out what a torus is. If you're very talented with copper wire, you could probably make one. If you can find, there are some models out there. I was trying to look for one to show you guys, but a little frame that you can wrap a coil around there. All right, you get the idea? You think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? Let me know. See, maybe, maybe not. Or if you have a better concept of what this world is without using the regular knowledge that everybody knows or doesn't know. Like you say that, oh, that is the truth, we do live on a globe and we do spin in space and blah, blah, blah. Well, prove it to me. Show me. Don't show me some CGI. Anyway, thanks for listening. Sorry, it's not my best video. I'm a little, just woke up, but just wanted to show you and share that with you. And watch my other videos of the Curvature Amateur. Maybe you'll learn a couple of things. Till next time, aloha.